Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for part 5 of Journaling on a Budget Extra. This is our lap book, and so today what we're going to do is we are going to put a flip here, kind of a Constantina type flip. And what I have done is I have cut some of the file folder, and the size that I cut this was, our book is 8.5 by 5 1/4. So I cut it 8 1/4 by 5 so that they're each 1/4 of an inch smaller, which will give us an 1/8 of an inch gap all the way around. So that is what I did here, and what we're going to do, these are going to fit onto here. I'm going to slide that aside, and we are going to tape these together with some, what do you call it? With the clear tape, and we're going to leave a gap between each one so that they'll fold nice. And that's about, the gap is about 1/8 of an inch. And I'm just going to take packing tape, that's what it's called. So I'm going to take some clear packing tape. And be careful because packing tape kind of has a bit of static to it. And so when you get close to your paper, sometimes it wants to grab your paper and lift it up. So when you start to get close, just get it on there quick so that it doesn't, and if it lifts your paper, you're going to have to realign it. So there's that one. And I'm going to cut this off because my tablecloth is messy. And the start of this tape was messy, so I don't really want to wrap it over, although it's going to be covered. So it really doesn't make that much of a difference. I'm going to turn it over and put one on the other side. If I can get it. Oh, and then it stuck to itself. Don't you hate it when that happens? Am I going to get it? Yay, I got it. And that's good enough. Just going to put that on there. And the packing tape, Nick the Booksmith says, is the best thing to use for this because it's the strongest thing to use for it, because it's going to be hinged and go back and forth and back and forth. So that's why you want to use the packing tape on it. And again, I did my original book that I made. I got that idea from Nick the Booksmith, and she also has a video series making the lap book start to finish. This is not quite straight, so I want to straighten it out a little bit. There we go. And just get that on there. I'm going to do the other side. Now, you don't have to quite make your gaps quite that big. You could do more of a 1/16 of an inch if you want to. You just want to make sure that you have enough of a gap that it's not going to be tight when it folds, because remember, we are going to be decorating it and putting papers on it, which are going to make the pages thicker. There we go, and our last piece. So what I've done is I cut 3 pieces that were 8 1/4 by 5, and now they are all taped together like this. And then the 4th piece I cut 8 1/4 by 3. That will be our top piece, and it just gives it a little bit of interest. And then I moved it. And the biggest thing is, remember, in your construction, you want to get things lined up as best as you can so that everything folds nicely and sits nicely. And there we go, one more piece on the back of this, and we will have them all hooked together. There we go. Okay, so this is our base for our Constantina. And then we will be decorating this at some point. I don't have that exactly figured out right now, how I want to decorate it. But I do know one thing. We're going to need some acetate. And I'm talking about plastic packaging. If you get anything in plastic and you haven't, there are nice big flat parts of that plastic, keep that because they work great in a lot of different art projects. So now I'm just going to burnish this like this. And what I'm going to do is turn each one of them the opposite way of what they were and burnish it there, just to get those folds going. Okay, so this is what we have, and we are going to, okay, so this is our book, and as we open it up, we're going to open up the right hand side, and we are going to put this right here. And I'm making this very similar to the one that I have. There may be some differences, but it's going to be pretty close. So now, if I put this in like this, we're going to glue down the back page. So if I put it in like this, it's going to open up like this and like this. But really, it would be better if I put it in like this. And we glue down the back page, and then this will open up like this and like this and like this, or like this and like this. So it just depends on which way you want it to open. I think I had it the best way the first time. Okay, so this will open up. Hold this one down. This one will open up, and then this will open like this. And then when it's closed, then you'll open it up like this and like this. So that's how it will be. Okay, so we're going to just glue down. This is just the very first page, and you can make it go either way. There's neither a right nor a wrong way to do it. So we're just going to glue this down with our Fabri-Tac. Make sure you get a good amount on that plastic tape to get a good grip on it. And then we're just going to line it up so that we have about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And just give it a good press. Now, the reason we don't want to make it exactly the same size is it's nice to have that little bit of a border, and you could do it 1/4 of an inch so that you'd have even more. I mean, 1/2 an inch, so you'd have 1/4 of an inch all the way around. But you don't want to get too close to your folds. And so also if you stay inside what we've already cut, then you know you won't be getting too close to your folds, because we made sure that we stayed just outside the folds when we put that backing paper in. And now that pretty piece of backing paper has been covered up. And I could have not put that in there, and then after we put this in, then put a piece of backing paper on here to cover the whole thing. But to me, I have to have it kind of finished to continue going. It helps me see things better. Okay, so now we are going to have all of these spots to decorate, and that will be something that we will do on our next video. And we're also going to now, on this back page, we've got our pocket here, and I've decided I do want to try and keep that. So on this back page, we are going to put a pocket. And so for that pocket, because our book is 8.5 inches up and down, I made the pocket 8 inches long. And so I cut a piece of paper that is 8 inches this way. And then, oh, how long is it this way? I thought I had it written down, but I don't. So let's measure it. Oh, it's 12 inches. So it's 8 inches by 12 inches. That fits my book. I just made it a little bit shorter than my book. And then I wanted this pocket to be not quite as wide as the width of the book. So I made it 4 inches, and then I did a flap of, I believe, 2 inches, 2.5 inch flap. And so then we're just going to fold this flap down, making sure that it's still going to fit inside of our book. And there we go. So now we have this pocket, but what we're going to do is we're going to make a little concertina so that it will open up a little bit for us to fit more in it. And what you're going to do is, this is 4 inches tall. I lied, it's 4.5 inches tall. So we are going to cut 2 pieces that are 4.5 inches by 2 inches. And then we're going to concertina them. So 4.5. And let's see if that's as tall as our pocket. Yes, close enough. We're just a touch short. And then we want this to be 2 inches. 2 inches wide, and we are going to fold it in half, like that, and then fold it back on itself on this side, and turn it over and fold it back on itself on the other side. There we go. So now it makes an M or a W depending on which way you're looking at it. Okay, so we have that, and we need 2 of those. This one I don't think is quite 2 inches wide, so we're going to have to cut another one at 4.5 and 2. And the reason I did 2 is I want my concertinas to be about 1/2 inch wide. So then we're going to fold this one in half. Fold it in half this way because I just want the matte part on this side. So I'm going to fold it in half, and then fold it, I have to turn it this way, fold it back on itself, turn it over and fold it back on itself on the other side. So now we have 2 1/2-inch concertinas that look like an M or a W. And what we're going to do is put on just at the bottom, we're just going to put a little bit of glue on each side there, and then in the valley on the other side too. Ah, such messy glue. And give that a squish together. So now we're making the tiniest of fans. Just give that a squish. We just want it right there at the bottom. And we're going to do the same thing on this one. Put it in the 2 valleys on this side, and then in the valley on this side, and give that a squish. And again, we've got like a little fan. Okay, so I'm going to close my book up and get it out of the way, because now we're going to take the pocket or envelope that we made. We're going to take our concertinas and we're going to put it in the book so that the M goes towards the inside, or the 2 openings, where this side has 1 opening, this side has 2 openings. We're going to put the 2 openings to the inside of our envelope. And we're just going to glue the long side on each side. Whoops. and put the pointy part towards the bottom. And I'm going to actually put it on the, I'm going to put it on the front cover so that I don't go above the edge of this. And then just fold that down and give it a good press. And now we've got this concertinaed envelope so that it lets us put just a little bit more in there, and also helps it to get things out a little bit easier than if it was completely flat. So we're just going to again do the long sides here. With the M part facing in. I'm going to slide that one right down in here. Try and get it as lined up with the outside edge as you can without sticking out. And there we go. There. Now we have a concertinaed envelope to stick in the back, and I did fold the flap about 1/2 inch up from this edge just to make it a little easier to get in there. I'm going to punch a 1/2 round here. Sorry about that. I ran out of memory on my phone, so I had to get some things downloaded or uploaded or whatever you call that and get them off my phone so that I could finish this up. Okay, so we did this part right here where we have this foldy in concertina part, and we were working on our little envelope with the sides. And then I was just going to show you, we're going to glue this in, but before we glue it in, dirt under my fingernail, before we glue it in, we are going to put a little 1/2 punch in the middle here. Just kind of, I guess that's about the middle. Let's cut that out. And then what we're going to do is, I need my glue. We're gonna punch. I just took a piece of this cardstock that was left and glued it to just a piece of chipboard, and we're gonna punch out 2 circles that we can use for our closure. And I have some of the stretchy cord that I bought at the Dollar Tree. And then what I'm gonna do is, this one I think I'll make blue. And I'm just gonna, for this I can just chop a piece off of here, and then we'll figure out how long we need it to be. But what we're gonna do is we are going to glue one of our little buttons down here, and we're gonna glue one of our little buttons up here. And I wish I had something to distress it with, but I don't, so we're just gonna do it. On the one that's on the top, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to take my stretchy string and I'm going to glue it underneath. I'm not going to knot it because that knot will make a really big bump. And then I need to have enough stretchy string to fit around the bottom one with a little bit of pull, but because you want to be able to expand this, so you don't want it to be super tight. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to right about the bottom of where I'm going to glue that button, and that's how much I'm going to need. So then I'm just going to, should I leave those stick out and stick a bead on them? That might be cute. I'm going to leave those stick out, and then if I want to put a bead on them I can, and if I don't I can cut them out later. So I'm just going to hold that on there and put some of our Fabri-Tac. I need to put some underneath where those are going to go. And you do kind of want them to come out the middle. And then put some Fabri-Tac around both sides and on top of this so that the whole thing will stick down to your flap. I'm going to move this one so it doesn't distract me because I'm going to try and kind of find the middle. And we're going to guess that that's about the middle. And then just press it down. That looks pretty good. Alrighty, and we're going to have to press that, and we're going to want to kind of like really hold it for a minute so that it gets really good contact and doesn't come up. Get rid of the extra glue there. Okay. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one and I'm just going to kind of just roll the edges up a little bit. Because I want my string to be able to go around and underneath of it. You can also put a little piece of, we'll do that. We'll put a little piece of cardboard underneath just to make it sit up a little bit. And I'm going to do it right from here. I'm just going to cut a little circle because we're only going to glue the middle of that down. And so we just want a little circle in the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect because nobody's going to see it. Nowhere's near a circle, but there we go. And then I'm just going to put a little Fabri-Tac on this and glue it to the middle of our little button. And you can actually use real buttons for this too if you want to. There we go. That'll hold it up a little bit. And you want to make sure that you don't have any glue on the outside though, so that your string can actually go around it. I'm just going to hold that there and I'm going to pull up those little edges just a little bit. There we go, kind of like that. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue right in the middle. Trying to take a little bit off because I have a little too much in there, or on there. Make sure there's none on the outside. We just want it in the middle. And then I'm going to line it up with my little loop and make it just a little bit lower than the loop. Maybe 1/4 of an inch or even a little less than that. So I'm going to put that right there so our loop will stretch a little bit and pull back underneath that far. Okay, so now that is connected just in the center. It's a little bit further down than our loop is, so that our loop will have to stretch a little bit to fit over there. This is glued solidly up here, and we'll be able to put buttons up here if we want to. I'm not going to put that loop on there until that is solidly dry. And do they look like they're about even? Just kind of wanted to make sure they looked a bit even this way. And then we're just going to glue this right to the back cover of our book. Now, if you wanted, you could leave a little bit of a tuck spot behind this, but because it's an expandable envelope and there's not a whole ton of room between what's in front of it and the back cover, you know, a pocket behind it you really don't need, because you may not be able to fit anything in there, because anything that you fit in here is going to make this expand, and then if you try putting stuff behind it, that's going to make it expand more. So we're going to hook it down solid because it is an expandable envelope and we want it to be on there nice and solid. Okay, so there we go. got our little punch out here. We've got our closure. We've got this hooked right in here. And then we've got our little one here that opens up like this and then opens up like this. So we will decorate this the next time I come back and maybe look at possibly what we're going to start attaching in this area. So I will go ahead and let you go for now. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.